Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much. Not be able to have that myself. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today, is there free beer? I don't know. You tell me. I like beer. Is there free software? There's free software. There's a few things that are free. And you do all of this for free. You migrate VMs for free. Yeah, I'll show you how to do it. There's a way to do this. Probably many ways to do this after you do this panel. But that's just one way. The free open source software that allows migrations, many of them. For OpenStack, you have to have OpenStack to migrate VMs to OpenStack. OpenStack is free. There might be free peer then as well. There's a project called virt2v on the blog for a long time. Part of Fish. I'm a software developer, by the way, so if you ask me very deep questions about virt2v, I'll probably won't be able to answer them. Well, I have managed to migrate VMs using virt2v from VMware to OpenStack, and it didn't cost me anything. How do you migrate VMs for free? Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. I'm going to show you some screenshots of how I migrated 2019 VM running to OpenStack, running on VMware to OpenStack. And we're going to talk about what's next, how to make things better. First, pay attention to this quote. I've heard that from a big customer. People say there's no free beer. There's all for free. The name was nobody, nowhere. And hard to realize that promise, right? There is free software. Hardware costs money. Talent costs money. Engineers gotta eat, right? My son's gotta eat. Gotta feed my family. It's somewhat free, so is there free beer? There really isn't free beer. Sorry, disappoint you. But some level of free, thanks to Open Foundation, thanks to OpenStack, and thanks to projects like virt2v. Talk about what is VM migration. The VM migration can be really composed of three major pillars. I talked about me being a network specialized person. So the first thing is map the old networks of the hypervisor in VMware to the networks in OpenStack. The best way to ensure that is that the ESXi hosts in VMware are related to adjacent to those on OpenStack. They use style of networking, VLAN provided networks on the OpenStack side, switch on the vSphere side with a VLAN tag on it. Whatever that VLAN tag is, just stretch that VLAN across those two hosts. We can seamlessly migrate the networking stack of the VM, the IP address that it's currently using. So you don't have to reconfigure that after migrating. So some precautions to make sure that that layer 2 network adjacency exists. If that's not an option, then you're going to have to take some extra steps and reconfigure that network stack. But seamless, right? Promise of seamless migration does require that step to be taken. Storage. We're going to be migrating from VMware Data Store. Could be backed by Fiber Channel, could be backed by NFS, could be backed by whatever VMware is using. You're going to take all those bits and migrate them to some kind of persistent storage on OpenStack. Hopefully that will be running in their volume. But that takes time, right? So that networking aspect comes into play here. Just make sure that that network that you have present in your VMware environment and the OpenStack environment perform level of your satisfaction. That when that storage, that disk or multiple disks that attach to the VM running on VMware get migrated over the network, that's what virt2v does. It happens in a timely manner, and the network will go on. Last thing, the most crucial thing, that's what people want, the hypervisor change. We're going from VMware's proprietary format for defining virtual hardware in VM. Yeah, it's still x86 VMware and then x86 on OpenStack. AVM is the hypervisor, but there is some intricate details like storage adapters are different. That might require a change of guest editions. Or V2V can actually do that for you. It'll slide those right in. Guest operating system. We'll do that for you on Windows. We'll do that for you on Linux as well. Same applies for Linux network-based cards. VMXNet and VMware's maybe not so proprietary. I think they maybe open source that at some point. Private or NICs. Quite different from VirtIO. But again, for the B2B to the rescue, it will actually pop in that driver for you after you migrate the VM. So far, so good. Right? Yeah, migrating VMs is a complex task. Right? With VMware, you heard B2B end up on OpenStack. That slide kind of makes it simple, right? But the last slide really highlighted all the three pillars that you have to pay attention to. So is growing beer, right? And that's probably why you don't find beer. Something that takes planning and execution. You have good beer with a nice long top. I have to figure out how to make that CO2 happen in the fermentation. And same thing goes with migrating beer. Can you do it for free? Yeah, you can do a lot of it. About OpenStack for a little bit. This is deployment components that go into deploying OpenStack. This is Red Hat's distribution of OpenStack, latest version. Red Hat OpenStack services on OpenShift that is pictured here. So we're running the OpenStack control plane in the latest release of OpenStack on Red Hat on OpenShift Kubernetes. The operators here on the left, the cert manager, NState, Quay, Multis, all the good things. Those operators and those are prerequisites. Once you get those installed, you install the rest of the operators that the OpenStack installer operator installs the rest of the components. I won't get into much detail of how that works, but contact me, contact your Red Hat rep for more details on the release of OpenStack. Version 18.0 is based on the Antelope release, so we're behind a little bit. 19.0 release next year is the D release. I don't know how to pronounce. Those are the funny dogs. Dalmatian. Yeah. Thank you. White dogs with black spots. Well, B2B. Yeah, I talked about a little bit. It does use libguestfs. It's a very neat library. I like using it for a lot of things. For example, take a QCOW file, decompressing it, edit a few files on the file system of a VM. Handy. Do a lot of things. You completely change the file system of a virtual machine without even booting it up using the SFS. V2V is part of that project. Been around for a long time, 2007. I've migrated a lot of VMs using virtv2v, and it supports a lot of hypervisors. KVM is the target, but as the source, it supports quite a few. One of them is VMware vSphere. You can go through the vSphere SDK. You can go through straight up to the ESXi host API, so you don't need a vSender to use virtv. Kind of nifty tool. It's actually a base of many other projects that do VM migrations. Host. They use virtv2v under the covers. Not under the covers, but it is used in a lot of different projects that can migrate VMs. Yeah, and it's free. That's the best things about it, and it works. Open source projects that out of the box. V2V works out of the box, and why I got so excited about using it, I just installed it. With that screenshot, a little better here. Tries to show how the migration works. The way you set this up is you install Vert V2V. I was using a Fedora VM. So you need to install a Fedora VM. I'm sorry, Fedora. On the target OpenStack, that's your destination. That's where you run Vert V2V. On that same machine, you have to craft your RC file, environment credentials for the target OpenStack, the same OpenStack on which that VM is a guest. And you put your VMware credentials in there. And then you're ready. You have to know the name of the virtual machine that you have to migrate. And then you have to know the VM where you installed Vert. Those are the arguments that it takes. Then you plug those into Vert V2V. The process starts. I did this with Red Hat OpenStack Platform 17.1, so the Wallaby release. Oh, that's the one I used. Obviously. When this process finishes, Vert V2V creates a Cinder volume. It uses the same name as the virtual machine was named in VMware, and it adds SDA to it, SDB, depending on how many drives there are. And all you have to do is use this volume to create an OpenStack VM. And from there on, that VM boots from the volume. You will notice that in my example of how I'm booting it, right? I'm using, I'm binding a particular NIC with a network UID, and I'm assigning fixed IP to it. This is the same fixed IP. That's the same IP address, static IP that was assigned to my Windows VM. Now, if I didn't want to do that, if I was using DHCP, right? Let's say all your VMs are using DHCP, static IP example, the MAC address is retained for that adapter. So, if there's a DHCP server listening on that network, when that VM boots up, that request goes out from the same MAC address. If you have an allocation defined on the server, it's going to get the same IP. So, fixed IP done this way, DHCP. MAC is retained as soon as it broadcasts out the DHCP server with that same address.
Yeah, Mike.
It's better. So yes, 2 pages covered. The VM boots up, and you do a standard OpenStack tool. Check out its network stack. Same IP address assigned. Ping a Google DNS. Sorry, here. Pinging 8. A nice response. So, I could have logged into that machine using remote desktop, something like that. And maybe even SSH, right? You can run SSH on Windows. I could have done it using SSH since the networking stack was up. So the same credentials would have worked for logging in and interacting with that. Because the networking stack was preserved. So that's shorthand for V2V in action. Next steps, right? V2V is slow. It took 53 minutes to migrate this VM. And our friends from VexHost will talk about how you can use VDK to access the data store natively from VMware. Yeah, there's places to improve. But the naked Vert V2V vanilla doesn't do that out of the box. It also doesn't support batch migrations. I can't do that like a plan where I can select multiple VMs. Well, since we want to do it for free, write some Ansible playbooks for free as well. Why not, right? And then you can do it a couple at a time, optimize the process. A shameless plug here. V2V is also used in a toolkit for migrating VMs called Migration Toolkit for Virtualization. Another thing. It does support VDK, so you can further optimize this and migrate to virtualization. Where batch migrations are supported and where VMware is integrated for accelerating. But next steps. There's a lot of partners that do that. And when we talked about yesterday about reaching out to the community, next host, the converter, been here, not today. Oh, too bad, but you know that's your alternative. Really, hey, those are all great partners. HiStack, they can do that too. Summit, Outbase, right? One thing that's not mentioned here, another Red Hat shameless plug. Red Hat is developing a new solution based on V2V, you guessed it already, combined with OS Migrate. OS Migrate, pretty old project for migrating VMs, OpenStacks. So those two together, plus VDDK, Red Hat is putting in a new offering for migrating VMs to OpenStack from VMware. OpenStack, it's like a generic VM migrator. New cloud, sure. So that's also coming. I don't even know what the name of it is. But the three components will be V2V, OS Migrate, and VMware. Any questions? Yes, please, sir.
What's your largest pain point that you frequently find between migrating from VMware to OpenStack?
The question is what's the major, most frequent pain point when migrating VMs from VMware to OpenStack? It's actually not the migration process. It's the lack of feature parity. I talked about this a little bit. Yes, they want to name the elephant in the room. The lack of DRS, right? Like people who are very VMware centric, who spend the past 20 years getting certified with all these certs, they really want DRS. But it looks like there's work in the community to address some of those holes. Those are the hardest conversations. It's, you know, Vert V2V, low, works. Anyone else?
If you're an engineer about to get assigned to being a VMware to OpenStack migration, how much would you expect that engineer to know about VMware in order to pull off this type of operation?
None of it. I've worked with VMware before ESXi became ESX. When ESX ran on Linux back in the days. Those are the cool days because it was free. So yeah, the knowledge, intricate knowledge of how VMware storage works, you know, navigating data stores, how distributed virtual switches work, and all that architecture, you have to untangle that a little bit. Migration. So, you know, at a predictable rate, right? Like making sure that there's enough speed or power in the data store that you can pull data off of it, and then the destination data store. I would say yes, please know both. Or get in touch with the partners that will fill in that for you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Really